This scene is one of the biggest signs given to us by the writers, showing us that Boyd is being intentionally transformed by the evil forces in the town into something that is extremely similar to the Nightwalkers. Because what I want you to notice about this scene in particular, where Dale gets sent into the wall, is how quickly Boyd descends into using fear to keep the people of the town in line as soon as the opportunity to do so revealed itself to him, in order to ensure that he would get what he wanted from the townspeople.
Who's next? Huh? Do you want to go to the tree? Who the fuck is next? I am trying to keep you alive. Don't you see that? I can't.
What we see here is incredibly crucial to understand how we know for a fact that the entity is intentionally putting Boyd through these very specific situations to force him into becoming a monster. Because what we really see from Boyd's actions in this moment is that he immediately seized the opportunity to use fear to control the people of the town, because it guaranteed that he would get what he wanted as soon as the possibility opened itself up to him. Basically, what the writers are really trying to tell us in this scene is that Boyd is not against using the exact same logic and methods that we see from the entity that's in control of the monsters. This is why Donna was absolutely horrified when she saw what Boyd was doing. But what's most important here is how close the motivations of Boyd and the monsters are, but even more specifically are his extreme level of similarities to the Man in Yellow when it comes to their perception of the townspeople, which is something that is made even more apparent in this next scene that I'm about to show you.
Something's different. I don't know if I like who I'm becoming. What happens next is my favorite part.
You're a monster.
Now, this scene from the trailer for Season 4 is absolutely massive for us to understand what the entity has actually been turning Boyd into ever since he first arrived into the town. Because what we see from this scene with Elgin and Boyd is that he does not believe that the people of the town have the right to know what's going on or why these specific things keep happening to them. And in general, what we see here is that Boyd, just like the Man in Yellow, does not believe that the people of the town have the right to know the truth. And this is part of why the writers included the tagline in the Season 4 trailer saying, "Become what you fear and fear what you become," as well as the lines that they put into the show of Boyd literally saying that he's changing into something that he does not like. Basically, they just keep emphasizing to us time and time again that Boyd is becoming exactly like the Man in Yellow. And even when you really stop and think about it, just like we see from the Yellow Man, Boyd also believes that knowledge comes with a cost. That is part of why he refuses to share the information that he knows with the people of the town. But this is barely even scratching the surface of the incredible amount of similarities that we see between Boyd and the Man in Yellow. And this is why I want you to pay attention to what I'm about to show you right here.
No, they didn't understand about Sarah. Yes, they let it go because you told them it's not going to work this time.
Why not?
They don't believe in you anymore.
What we see here is incredibly important for us to understand the type of person that Boyd has really been becoming in the past few seasons. Like, what I want you to notice about what we see with this scene with Donna telling Boyd that the people of this town do not believe in him anymore is that this is the reason why Boyd has started using fear to control the people of the town. Like, basically, what this really shows us is that the reason Boyd was threatening the people of the town when Dale went into the pool is that he has now started to believe that hatred and fear is just as powerful and as valid a tool to achieve a specific goal as love and respect. Basically, what the writers are setting up here is that since the people do not believe in him anymore, Boyd is going to keep using fear to try to keep the people of the town in line, which is the exact same thing that we see from the entity in control of the monsters and the Man in Yellow. Because as things get more and more out of control, Boyd is going to become more and more desperate to maintain his power over the people of the town. But he will obviously fail because the entity's reach of influence is far beyond where Boyd could ever possibly hope to control. And once again, this is yet another similarity between Boyd and the Man in Yellow. He made his appearance because he realized that he was losing control over the people of the town. And more than likely, this is the same exact manipulation that was used on the Man in Yellow himself, which is why he says in the trailer that this part of the game is his favorite part, because it's when the entity breaks down the leader of the town that he's spent years building up. And the reason why he builds them up is very simple. You can never truly know despair if you've never known hope in the first place. And what that means is the greater the level of hope, like say believing if you can just get to the children locked in the tower and free them that you would be able to go home, it automatically means that the level of despair that you're going to feel when you realize the entire quest was fake is going to be absolutely tremendous. And this is why it matters so much that we see that the Man in Yellow has taken off his jacket and seemingly threw it away. Because the reality is, if he's taking it off, then it opens up the possibility that the only reason he did so is because it's time for someone else to pick up the burden and put it on. Maybe that is why he was laughing in the trailer. And when you really think about it, there's really only one person in this entire town that could even possibly be his successor. And this is why you need to pay attention to exactly what I'm about to show you.
Kill the animals to feed the town. Can't you find another way?
Those animals down there, they're going to keep everybody alive till we figure all this out. They're going to save us. They're going to be heroes.
This scene right here is absolutely key for us to understand what the entity in control of the monsters has really been transforming Boyd into. Because what we are looking at right here is a man who has been led by the entity into believing in the same ideology and thought process that could sway the leader of an entire town into convincing each of its citizens that child sacrifice is the only way out of the suffering that they keep experiencing. Like, you really need to pay attention to how Boyd says that the people that we sacrifice for the group are the real heroes. And you can already start to see how someone who is in the same position as Boyd could possibly justify such an act to himself as well as to the people living in the town themselves. Because really notice how he says that these desperate measures are only being taken to keep the people of the town alive for now until they figure everything out. And obviously by that, he means that they're only going to do this until they figure out a way to go home. The problem here is that's not gonna happen. Nobody's going anywhere. And how do we know this? Because the Nightwalkers have been trapped in this town for literally 500 years, even after they made the deal. Because they got played by the entity. And now they're nothing more than slaves to the jellyfish, because that's what demons do. They lie, they cheat, they manipulate. We know this. And that's obviously the exact same thing that happened to the Man in Yellow. But what this scene really tells us is that Boyd has already taken his first steps into being transformed into an absolute monster, which we saw when he traded Randall at the ambulance. And the ultimate plan is to have him convince as many of the townspeople as he can to join in on whatever the deal is going to be with him. And make no mistake about it, that was always the plan when the entity brought him into the town. Like, this entire town is being controlled and puppeteered by the same being that's in control of the monsters. And that's something that couldn't be any more obvious, especially when you take a look at what's been going on with someone like Victor. So watch this video right here to see how we know Victor is obviously being used by the entity to deceive us into believing something that is clearly a lie.